grade 6. Today our science lesson is the second part of how humans use the forest. Our learning target for today is, I can understand different perspectives and make decisions about how to manage a forest. Before we begin, let's review a few of the ways humans use forests. We saw many of these examples in the video last lesson. Many humans use the forest for recreation. This could be for hiking, bird watching, camping, ATVing. There are many ways that humans enjoy their spare time and leisure time in the forest. We use forests for raw materials. So here you can see quite a pile of wood that has been collected from the forest. Forestry is a major industry in Alberta, and these raw materials are used to make many products that we all use. Forestry also creates jobs. So in the bottom photo, you can see that someone is obviously operating that vehicle that is collecting the logs. Forestry companies also employ tree planters because they often have a requirement that for every tree they cut down, they must replace it with 2 or 3 new seedlings. So depending on the area they are cutting down trees, they do need to act responsibly and replace these trees with new trees. So they would also employ tree planters. Trees, of course, produce clean air. So we require oxygen to breathe, and trees produce oxygen for us by converting the carbon dioxide and water in the air to both oxygen and sugar for the tree to live. Medicine can be made from trees. Many of the prescriptions you have, some of the raw ingredients come from trees, and also natural remedies are often based on products that you find in trees, whether it's part of the bark or oils from the trees. Trees also provide food. So here you can see a selection of food that was collected from trees. Trees provide soil stability, so they prevent erosion. So here you can see many trees on a very steep hill. Their roots go deep into that hill and prevent it from eroding or washing away when there was a wind or large rainfall. And trees also provide shade, both for animals and for humans. Today, you have been given the new role as a land management planner. You will find this assignment in Seesaw. However, we will also provide it for you to be able to print. And today I do recommend that you print the assignment if you have access to a printer. But if not, no problem, you can complete it in Seesaw. We will start by going through the instructions, and then I will start the activity in Seesaw so you can see exactly what we are expecting. So, you have been put in charge of an area of land, and you are responsible for deciding how it will be used. The area of the forest you manage is represented by the piece of the land map, which is divided into 80 hexagons. This will make more sense in 1 second when you see it. There is a lake, which is 10 hexagons, and a river, which is 11 hexagons on the map. The rest is blank, representing unmanaged forest. Each of the groups, you will see on the next slide, has requested access to some of this forest. You must divide the land as reasonably as possible. Each group must be represented in your plan, but they can be given more or less land than you have requested. Each stakeholder also has specific restrictions you must take into account. So let's take a look. Here is our map of our forest, so you can see that the river is in light blue and the lake has been represented in dark blue. And then we have a list of all of our stakeholders. So the first one is the forest products company. So they would be collecting raw materials, and they have requested 15 hexagons. The summer cabin owners have requested 7 hexagons because they require 1 hexagon per cabin. We also see that there are many other stakeholders: a campground, a mining company, a general store, a railway, ski resort, ranch operation, and a conservation area. You will notice that some of the stakeholders have specific restrictions. So, for example, the mining company must be away from human activity. So you can't put the mining company next to the summer cabin owners. And I am going to show you an example of this in Seesaw. But before we do that, your slide will look a lot like this. So you'll have a copy of the map as well as a legend. So you will choose a different color for each stakeholder and then consider the amount of space that they have requested. However, remember that you get the final decision. So even if they have requested 15 hexagons, you do not need to give them that amount of space. If you decide that maybe they should only have 12 and you're going to give an extra 3 to another stakeholder, that ultimately is your decision. So again, you have 2 options. You can either print a copy of this assignment and then take pictures of your completed work and upload it to Seesaw, or you can complete the activity in Seesaw. So let's take a look at what that would look like now. Alright, so here is a preview of the Seesaw activity. Even if you are completing it on paper, you may want to click through the slides to hear the instructions. You will notice that each slide does have voice instructions. So I'm not going to reread all of those right now. You can listen to those when you do the Seesaw activity. So again, I have already read this section explaining the assignment, but I am going to focus on this page here. Alright, so you can see that I have tried to squish everything on one page so that you are able to see it all at once. You have a list of stakeholders in the chart right here. You can choose to begin with whichever stakeholder you would like. I'm going to start with the campground. So I noticed that the campground, okay, I think yellow is a good color, has requested 5 hexagons and they have no restrictions. So I think a lovely place for a campground may be next to the river or the lake. So don't worry about your coloring being perfect as long as I know which hexagon belongs to which. I'm going to go up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that was a reasonable request. I'm going to honor that request and give the campground all 5 hexagons that they requested. And I'm going to also make sure that I color that box in our legend yellow, the same yellow that matches the one I used on the map. All right, now I'm going to choose a new color. The mining company, when I think mining, I think of like coal. So I'm going to choose a gray. So the mining company on my map, again, it is difficult. Don't worry about the coloring being perfect. The mining company is going to be gray. They have requested 10 hexagons. Okay, I think I might not give them as much space as requested, but they do need to be away from human activity. So I think the human should be as close to the river and lake as possible. So I'm going to grant them some access up here. So I'm going to give them 8 hexagons of space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so those 2 are done, and I've also indicated their color on the map. So now you will notice that I have an additional 2 hexagons to give to another group. So you can keep track, or just note that when you are done, all of the hexagons should be colored. So for example, I think conservation is very important. So I think I will give the conservation company those 2 extra hexagons. So they also require access to water, and instead of the 17 hexagons that they requested, I think I will give them 19. So I would go ahead and start coloring until I am up to 19. Okay, so I hope that you get the idea. By the time you are done, you should have all of the stakeholders represented on your map. Please consider the restrictions that they have and the requested space. So that's simply a request. You don't need to honor it exactly as requested. You are the land management planner and you have discretion to change that requested space. Hope you have fun. Enjoy this activity.